Hello, and welcome to today's webcast, How to Integrate a Customer, Vendor, or Employee Portal with your ERP or CRM. My name is Brenda, I'm with DynamicPoint, and I'll be your moderator today. For those who are new to GoToWebinar, we have just a few webinar guidelines. Audio is enabled only for the presenters. Upon joining the webcast, you will be on mute. If you have any trouble with your audio, you can attempt to look up your audio information in the confirmation email you received and attempt to rejoin. Finally, this presentation is being recorded, and we will distribute the webinar recording link after the webinar. So if you have any colleagues or coworkers who couldn't attend today, you can definitely share that with them after the webinar. Next slide. And with that, I'd like to introduce our presenter today, Mike Marcin. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you much. Appreciate it, Brenda. Okay, so for today's agenda, we are going to look at ERP and CRM integration from our portal perspective. And basically the premise there is that we're going to be pulling data into a Office 365 SharePoint extranet, and we're going to be integrating data directly from our ERP or CRM system. So we'll talk a little bit about how that's possible and really the variable options we have for data sources of which we could obtain data. We're going to do some notifications and emails for things that have been interacted. And the effort here is that after we have that integration, we also want to automate additional business processes. So maybe we want to generate notifications. We're also going to show the ability to do mobile notifications as well as approvals. And then from there, move up and look at even using such applications as DocuSign to do digital signatures. So the first part starts off from a basis of looking at how we get data into the portal, just in a sort of elementary format. How do we display it? And then from there, we move into sort of more complex, more functional aspects of how do we then take that information and use that to automate business processes, such as doing such things as notifications, emails, approvals, as well as integration with such things as electronic signature. So just a brief intro on myself. It's been a little over 15 years I've been working with ERP applications. The focus of our organization, DynamicPoint, is extending the reach of ERP and CRM systems using Office 365, specifically the SharePoint as the front end to that. Our areas of focus include customer and vendor portals, as well as AP and invoice automation, expense management, requisition. Today, we are focused on the portal product. And I will introduce the portal product a little bit, spend a little time talking about its functionality, and then, like I said, just go into a little bit of this interactive demo of how we are going to build the connections with ERP and CRM systems, as well as move up from there and begin automating business processes using Microsoft Flow, of which those of you who are aware has a new name by the name of Power Automate. So if you've heard of either of those, we will be focusing a fair amount of the presentation on going to the integration of our product with Flow. First thing is, what is the objective of a portal? Really, we're now enabling collaboration with the data that exists in our ERP and CRM system. And that's obviously a very broad statement. What does that mean? That means different things depending on the audience, right? So if I'm a customer, it could be such things as enabling my customers to look at their information, share contracts, order entry, right? The idea that we want them to create their own orders, share such things as inventory and product details, payment processing. Maybe I want them to see their invoices and initiate payment on them. Help desk, right? The ability of creating new service calls, seeing my existing service calls, etc. So those are some examples. Using the same product, we could pull data for other use cases as well. And it obviously becomes very dependent on the audience. So for a vendor portal, same idea, but different data. So it could be such things as managing company terms and conditions, looking at the POs that are assigned to me, editing those, payment status of my invoices, as well as the ability to do such things as confirm shipments, enter information, vendor onboarding, such as the submission of W-9s and capturing additional details or government forms from the vendor. From an employee portal perspective, we have employee forms and handbooks. I'm sorry, one second. I apologize. I forgot to turn off my phone there. From an employee perspective, we have handbooks and forms. We have time entry. We also have project management capabilities, such as the ability to look at tasks in the system, insight to the company operations. If I wanted to share order status and things like that with customer or with employees, I most certainly can do so, as well as the ability just to enable my employees to see reporting and analytics of the organization. So same product, just configured in different scenarios based on the audience who will be accessing the portal. So next question is, why are we using Office 365 here? The basic reason is most of the work is already done for us, right? We have this ability to create a customer or vendor or employee site and enable such things as web parts, content management sharing from a video perspective, document libraries, news feeds. All of these tools are available with this Office 365 framework already for us. We could build this collaboration portal, enable workflow on that, include data from other systems, etc. What we're bringing to the table there is the integration with the ERP data. So why do we start with that? Because we don't have to build everything from the ground up. The suite is already there for us. The functionality is already there for us. The tools are already readily available for us. We're just adding a very key component, and that's integration with the ERP data that is either coming from your ERP or CRM system. The other thing is Microsoft has, from a licensing perspective, made it very easy on this. There's no costs for external users, so I could share this with as many people as I want. It doesn't cost me any extra. And they've provided this, again, this flexible framework that is already there for us, already includes such things as authentication, security, multi-factor authentication, all the things you could sort of already want from a portal perspective is there, and we are building on top of that. So just more information, I'll touch on the slide for a second, such things as the branding, the logos, corporate colors, the sharing, the authentication, integration with workflow, the web parts, all of that is tools at our disposal that are already part of the framework, and we're just adding onto that. So enough of the PowerPoint. We will switch to the demonstration. So I'll close out of this and go to my customer portal that I have configured. So this is nothing more than a SharePoint Office 365 Extra, that page that's been configured for a customer portal. So such things as my branding, my calls to action here, and the ability to see various information. I have an integrated chat feature, so I could chat with a technician if I chose to do so. All of these things are at your disposal. This is deployed to your Office 365 tenant, so you really have the choice of what aspects of this you want to have configured. Looking at my company information, if I want to empower my customers to maintain their data, contacting me, etc. Here I have an integrated Power BI report. So we have a web part that filters this based on the authenticated user. So it's obviously only showing them the data that's applicable to them, as well as a document library showing various details. And maybe I want to collaborate on various documents such as specifications or contracts, into news feed here, just showing simple announcements. So, like I said, all of this is really quote unquote here for us. I could edit this page, I could add any content to it. It's all just part of the Office 365 framework. What our product is adding to this is the integration with that ERP data. So if I were to click on sales orders here, it's going to make a live call to my ERP application or CRM. Typically orders are in ERP, and give me the data that's specific to the user. So in here, I'm looking at orders that is specific to my authenticated users. I could drill into any of these details. I could look at my line items associated to my order. I could even print reports. The reports are not anything that we created separately. They're actually calling reports that exist within your ERP application. So we're not rewriting anything. We're leveraging what's already there. So the thing to note, all this data is live, right? We are calling it directly from the ERP application. We are not replicating it, bringing it into SharePoint. It is really just a window into that information. So that's just a simple view-only one. If I want to get a little more intricate, I could do such things as create data. So maybe I want the ability to create orders. So here I could see my existing orders. As you notice here, I also have the ability to edit them. change such things as my request date, maybe add line items and submit it. Now I could actually create an order directly from scratch too. I don't have to edit an existing one. Here I have a reference number. If you notice up on my upper right-hand side, I am getting a notification of that submission on the portal. We will show the details of that in a bit of how that works. We'll build that actually from the ground up. So if I go ahead and create a new record, we are going to call the ERP product to get all the defaults for the customer, such things as ship to, sell to, and then maybe give them the ability to complete the order by adding line items to it. So all of this is configured for the ground up. So as you understand how it works, any of the data that is within your ERP is absolutely available for sharing. So in this case, I was focusing on orders. I can most certainly look at invoices. If I want to show my customer invoices, they could have a link here to actually pay them, which we don't have time to get into today, but that's an option. I want to manage my profile and add new employees to my profile. I could do all that as well. And this same platform could be used also for a vendor portal as well as an employee portal. It's just a matter of the information that we're sharing. So that was really it from an introduction of the portal. Now we wanted to focus on the real agenda of today, and that is how do we get this information, and then how could we use that data to integrate such things as workflow and really automate the business process. So from an overview perspective, we're going to switch a little bit of a page here and stop the overview of what the portal is and get more into intricacies of how it works and then how I could extend that to, like I said, fully automate business process, have notifications, electronic signatures, etc. So we are going to dive into the admin. So the admin is available just from site settings, right? It is just deployed as an app to our Office 365 tenant. And if I go here, I see all of the data that I've basically integrated with the portal. So each of these is what we define as a service within our application, and each of these is built from the ground up. And what I mean by that, if I go look at the services, and say I was to pick like orders, and edit that before we create one, we'll just look at an existing. All of the fields that are available, the renaming of the fields, whether or not they're defined as editable or not. Obviously, this isn't the prettiest of screens, it's an admin setup screen, but this is the backbone or the foundation of what I could see in the portal and how it enables me to collaborate with any of the data that exists and call it whatever I want. Some people say, hey, I want to show pricing. Other people like, I don't want to. That's all fine. We just don't add that column or add their visibility to see that. That's all just set up. So we want to create a new one of these. This is a new service, or this is an existing service. We're going to create a new service. So I'm going to create a new one. And I'm going to go ahead and call it a customer list. It's going to be really simple. It's just going to show me a list of customer IDs and their associated name from the ERP product. So nothing too excited. I'm just going to pick Dynamics GP. We do support all kinds of ERP applications as well as databases, etc. But today we're just going to pick one for demo's sake. And I'm going to put the name of, or the URL of the source of where I'm getting that information. In addition, I'm going to put the name of the actual resource that I'm subscribing to. So in this case, like I said, it's a customer list. For other applications, it would be something like a sales order list or an invoices list. The ERP is serving as a source of that. We're just, again, opening up a window to see that data. We're going to define a few fields to show on the list here. So we're going to show customer number and customer name. And the last thing I will do, and then we'll come back and edit this a little bit as we go through, is pick a credential that I'm using to connect to that information. So let's go ahead and create the service. In addition to creating it, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the list just so I can see it should be there. I now have a customer list. If I click on this, it's going to be oh so simple, a customer number and a customer name. As you can tell, I have not even gotten into filtering it. That's a little bit beyond the scope. Of course, I would want to filter this data such that I'm only seeing it for the authenticated user. But let's have a little bit more fun with this. We'll add some more features. So I'll go back to that customer list. And let's say that in addition to just displaying that list, I want to give them the ability to drill down into it and then maybe edit something. So maybe they could change a customer name. So I'll go ahead and put the view edit form fields there, customer name. If you notice that little E there denotes that the field is now editable. There's actually one other button I have to click here, and that's enabling edit in the parent grid. The child grid would be if I had line items associated to this. Given that it's just a simple flat customer list, there really is no parent-child relationship. So we'll go back to my list, hit refresh. Oops, let me try that. Let me go give it a real refresh. So as you can see now, I have the ability to drill into it, and I have the edit capability. I just added that. I didn't add edit on anything. I just added edit on the customer name. So if I just want to go ahead and say this is new, I'll update that. And as we'll soon see, my customer name is now Aaron Fitz New. So super simple example. Wanted to keep it lightweight just to show you the concept today, but that could be applied to really any of the data that exists within an ERP product. So the idea of sales orders, service orders, POs, etc. Same concept, just on a very limited basis. So now that we've talked about the capability of getting that data in, let's use a, I guess, more applicable example, because customer list is probably something you're not going to show in a portal. It was just a simple example. Let's take the idea of service orders. So maybe here I have edit sales orders, I have invoices, returns, as opposed to showing sales returns. How about say we want to create the ability to show service orders in the application. So I already have a page set up for that. So if I go to my contents and I look at my pages, so I've already gone through the effort of configuring that service, much as you just saw. It was a very similar exercise, and I have a service order page. So here's my service order page. It is not available from my dashboard yet, just a page. As you can see, I have create functionality associated to it, as well as view and edit and submit. I have line items associated to these service orders. What I want to do is go back to my portal and edit it. Edit this web part, and as opposed to having sales returns here, we're going to call it service orders, and we are going to change this URL. I'm just going to put a link. I did copy and paste it while I was there, and voila. I could add a little bit more detail here. Service orders, we'll accept the default image. Actually, we'll auto select it and we'll grab the one directly from my page. And good enough, right? Service orders, we'll say create new. How about, so people know it's obvious that I could create new ones. And we'll republish this page. So a little bit more likely that I'm going to show service orders in a customer list. Now on my dashboard, in addition to showing customer sales orders, edit sales orders, etc., I have the ability to drill into service orders. So I already have the details of this setup, of which we can most certainly look at. So it's going to require a little bit more configuration than my simple example. Here I have service orders. I'm showing a few more fields, as you probably figured out. I have create functionality. I have edit capability for a lot of data. So same concept that I was showing you before, just more of it. So we'll go back to the service orders, and I have create. So if I click on the create, it's a two-step process. First of all, it asks me for my order number that I'm creating the service record for. We'll go ahead and put in this. The reason we're doing this as a two-step process is we actually call the ERP application and default all of the data directly back from the ERP. So we're not asking the customer for their customer ID or anything like that. We're presenting that all to them. And then I could add such something as my contact name and add a line item. So again, the idea is we want to keep it super simple for them, right? Because on a customer portal, we're not asking them for entry of the world of data, just the basics to get us a transaction in the system and take action on it. So I have an order with a line item, terrific, and we'll submit. So now that that's created, maybe we want to start adding some automation to this. And I already do have some basic automation. If you'll notice here, if I go to my email, I have a new sales service order email notification that I've created. Sometimes my email takes a little while to bring this up. I have to come back to it because it doesn't seem happy with me. But we will get a notification here of all the details on the service order. But we're going to build on that. We're going to build on that and make it more of a robust workflow. Okay, I'll come back. My email is not behaving. Oh, yeah, just as I said that, perfect timing. Okay, so here's the order. Here you can see I have some line numbers showing of it, all the details of it, etc. So that's the order I just created. But we want to create our own. We want to personalize this a little bit more, and like I said, add more details to it. So in our product, we have a concept of webhooks. So I have it open here. And if you look at what I have here, I have new service order creation. So I say when we create a service order, and if I go ahead and edit this, we're actually calling a Microsoft Flow URL. We're passing some details to it. And I could put this on any action in the portal. If someone views something, maybe I want it to notify me. If when they create something, submit it, print it, etc. So I have it associated when they create that order, I want it to generate this notification for me. So what I am going to bring over, or I have open right here, is a Microsoft Flow. And this flow is going to be the basis of our automation. So here I have a simple when an HTTP request is received. What I need this for is this is the URL that we will call from the portal when this service order is created. So I'm just going to delete my existing one and put it right in there and save it. So this is the URL that basically gets initiated, if you will, from the portal action. And I have one more step here saying I'm going to send an email. So as opposed to you guys watching me type all this fun stuff in, I have some HTML format already saved to a notepad, and I'm going to copy and paste that. When I'm going to say a new service call is created, this actually creates a table. So it's the HTML for the table. And then I put variables, the username, the customer number, some of the data that I'm passing to Flow from the portal application. And we just want to go ahead and save this guy. It's called service order creation. So it looks like it is on and ready. So now, if we go back to our portal, create one. Again, put in my order number. We'll create it. And I'm not even gonna add line items. I'm just gonna go ahead and update it and say simple enough. So we've created a new order. So what I would expect is a flow notification. So I think this was off my previous one. We'll probably see another one come in here in 1 minute, but it is actual notification that we just generated from the workflow of the email of the submission. And I didn't include that many fields on it, so it's gonna be a pretty simple notification. But again, you could get the idea that you could build these as elaborate as you want and include all the specifics that you want on that notification. Come on, email. I got impatient with it last time and that was right when it came up, so hopefully it does it again. While that is coming up, I'm gonna prepare us for our next, oh, there it is. See, always when I'm about to give up on it, it seems to come up. So here's a new service call that was created. Those are the details that I put when I composed the email. So the next thing I wanna do is go back to my flow. I will edit it. And let's say in addition to an email notification, I also wanna get a mobile notification. I'll search my actions, send me a mobile notification. Maybe some specifics such as service order has been created, put a link, and I'm gonna title that link portal. So here it's just the URL back to the portal and giving me a little bit more detail that the service order has been created. Probably figure it out. We're gonna create a new order, keep it really simple again, put in some details. Make sure I save this, because otherwise that's not gonna work so well. Go back to my service order. Again, just update it. And at this point, I need to share my phone because I received a notification of which you can't see unless I share my phone with you. All right, so if I go to my Power Automate, it did pop up on my notifications, but I could go look at it on the dashboard. And sure enough, the first entry you see there was my service order being created. So it did give me a pop-up, which unfortunately when I logged in, it went away. But I could drill onto that, click on the link that was created. So the portal application, I could actually click on that and go right into the portal. So building on that idea, maybe we want to do an approval. Let's add a new step and do an approval. So I'm going to click on this, wait for an approval. Approval type, I have all these options. We're going to, first person who approves it, we're going to say it's approved. Grab some additional details here so you don't have to see me type. I'm going to do service request for approval. I'm going to send it to my demo account just so I could see it. Obviously, you guys wouldn't do that, but it gives you an idea. Put in the details. Again, I could format this as fancy as I want. A link back to the portal. As well as a description. So now I have a new approval task that will be generated. Again, you want to go ahead and make sure we save this. Go create a new service order. So now I should get an email, mobile notification, which you guys have already seen, so I won't go through the effort of that again, but as well as that, an approval task. Oh, there goes my notifications here. So that's coming through on my phone. And if if I go to my email, you can see here's my emails that came through, as well as an approval request. So the approval request I could do various ways. If you guys are using Microsoft Teams, I have that up. I could actually refresh this and manage all of these approvals directly from Teams. I could also do that from my mobile app as well. So here you can see I have a new service request. Again, I could choose to approve or reject this, put in my comment. I could do that same function from, I still have my phone up. It doesn't look like it's timed down on me. So if I go to bring this across to you, you can see here I have a new service request that just got created, and I could approve or reject it directly from here, as well as add a comment or reassign it. And we could say something like, it looks great. I'll do it from Teams, and we'll say it's approved. So that basically ends, that's the last step in my workflow. So if I approve or reject it, it's not really gonna quote unquote do anything at this point because it is the last step. So building on that, one more step to show you is what if after I do this, I also want them to receive a document. So in addition to receiving this document, I want to obtain an electronic signature. So our service request process is quite complex, and I need them to fill out some additional information, requires their signature on that, and then I'll start processing the service request. So in this case, I'm going to add a new step. If you guys are familiar with the DocuSign product, it's sort of the leader out there in electronic signatures. So I have DocuSign. I'm going to send an envelope using a template. And basically what that means is I have a template already defined for my document. That's my account ID. The template I call service order template. And I want to put a status of sent. And just for now, you know, in a real world, I would obviously use variables for the customer. I'm just going to type it in just to keep it simple. So you can see I'm getting an email, getting a mobile notification, processing approval. If I approve that, actually I should put a condition there, but I'll skip with that for now, that it's going to send me a approval, or I'm sorry, a electronic form using DocuSign for signature. Okay, one more order. Okay, we'll put some order details, we'll create it. Gonna skip the items because I don't need them for this. And done, order created. So let's see, we got order created notification as expected, and I got the approval request. Approval request, again, I could do from Flow. Might be quicker given that my email is a little slow to respond. So let's go ahead and refresh that. So there's one as of 39 seconds ago. I will go ahead and approve it. Upon approving this step, I would assume that I would also get the last step in the workflow, which is the document signature. So we're obviously doing this for service orders today. Other typical use cases are for orders, right? Capturing additional details, technical specifications, things like that, contracts, as well as on the purchasing side, vendor onboarding. The list goes on. Okay, so I got one more email. Please review my service request. This is being generated from DocuSign, as you can see. I can review my document. If that all works well, I should have a template that I created for, sure, continue. Here's my simple template for a service order request. That's my title. It's already defaulted my name and my email. That's my company. And my signature. Use the draw method. No one laugh at my signature. It's horrible, I know. Something like that. And voila, finished. No thanks, I'm not gonna save a copy. So if we were to go back to our workflow, just again to review, got an email notification, send a mobile text notification, started an approval. Upon that approval, it sent me a electronic form. So other use cases for that is vendor onboarding, W-9s, things like that. So that concludes the interactive demo for the sake of today. I do have a couple more slides, but nothing too big. So I'll go ahead and put back up the PowerPoint. Just some general further reading on this. This whole concept of using SharePoint as a portal is by no means something that DynamicPoint invented. We can't take credit for it. It is obviously, may not obviously, but it is something that's being pushed very heavily by Microsoft. So there is several documents out there just building SharePoint portals, as well as it being an extra-niche solution. And then we have more information available on our website. So we are taking that concept, taking it to the next level, and using all of the features that come with that Office 365 framework to offer the most extensible application possible and flexible. We are happy to do demonstrations of this as well as evaluations. If you give us some basic requirements, we are happy to set it up specific to your guys' requirements. So there's our contact information and more details available on our website, of course. So with that, I will hand it over to Brenda.
Thanks, Mike. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about the integration capabilities with the portal application. We'd like to leave any remaining time in our program today for questions and answers. I see we have a couple questions that have come in during the demo. And while we're going through those, please feel free, if we didn't cover anything related to your integration challenges or requirements, please feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A panel and we'll answer in the order received. First one, Mike, we had a question about may customers upload files or pictures to help with their service orders?
Yeah, actually that's something I didn't show, but they most certainly can upload pictures. So we do have an upload capability. So they could upload that information, and we could actually pass that directly to the ERP as well. So it could be stored and then accessed from the ERP service order as well. So most certainly, and I would even add to that the flip of that, right? We could render attachments that are included or already have been uploaded to the ERP product and show those, as well as submit new ones. So both ways, including new ones, as well as showing what's already there.
Great. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Next one is integration capabilities with Business Central and Nav. Can we integrate with those?
Yeah, that's actually that's actually a great one. So Business Central and Nav, from a web service perspective, is what we're using. Both of those products already have web services available. If you're using Business Central on premise, usually the authentication is a little bit different because most people are using like Windows authentication, where if you're using Business Central online, then the authentication is typically Azure. So our product does work with both of those, and any of the pages within Business Central can be published as web services, and that becomes the basis of what we subscribe to from the portal. So we do support both of those. Like I said, really the only difference from our perspective of if it's online or not is the authentication on how we interact with that data.
Great. Hopefully that helps answer your question. And the next one is, can you shed a little light on the licensing when we use portals for D365 CE customer engagement? How does the license?
Yeah, okay, so great question. So when it comes to licensing, there's really two things at play, right? If it's 365 customer engagement, of course, there's licensing from that perspective, as well as Office 365, because that's where our product is deployed. From the Office 365 perspective, there's this concept of what's known as an external user, and that's basically a user outside of your company's domain. Those are considered by Microsoft free and unlimited. Maybe free is not the right word. It's included with your subscription. So you could share, in this case, a extranet with as many customers and vendors as you want without any impact to you from a licensing perspective. So then if it comes to the ERP, or in this case, CRM, customer engagement, the question becomes, can we allow access to these external users without impacting licensing there? And specifically in the Microsoft case, it's this whole topic, what's known as multiplexing, that basically, are you taking licenses away from potential users of their applications by building these workaround processes? Or circumventing them by creating these add-ons that would otherwise take away from their licensing. And the good news for us is that in their definitions, in their contracts, in their language that surround that, is anyone who's considered an external user, customer, or vendor does not require a 365 license as well. If you're doing in a customer or an internal employee portal, depending on what you're exposing in the portal, they most certainly could require a license. But in the case of the customer or vendor, the good news for us is that customers and vendors are considered outside parties, and they do not require either Office 365 or, in this case, customer engagement licenses.
Hopefully that helps answer your question. And I think that might be all the questions we have. I did want to also mention again that this presentation is being recorded. For those who couldn't attend, we will be distributing the webinar recording after the webinar. And then if you do have more questions after the webinar, of course, you can reach out to us on our website at dynamicpoint.com. We have a lot of great webinars on demand and upcoming that discuss the portals in more detail. We also have some great videos, demo videos on the website where you can get a better understanding of how it could work for your organization at a higher level. And of course, as Mike mentioned, we have a free consultation offer. If you go to our website, dynamicpoint.com, click on request a consultation. You can pick a time that works best for you and schedule a time to work one-on-one and really talk about your requirements in more detail. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. We'll give you a little bit more time back in your day, and we hope to see you on a webinar coming up soon. Thanks, Mike, for your time. Appreciate everybody for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.